Everybody, welcome. I'm super excited. Today, we're going to be talking about proposals and engagement letters. So we're going to dive deep into the details in a bit, but I just want to kind of start off with how excited I am to talk about this, how we're excited not just to talk about it now, but to the value it's going to bring to your firms this upcoming year. So I don't even want to use the word tax season because, as you'll see on the next couple of slides, is we're global, right? So we've got it's not just the January to April U.S. timeframe, but we have clients with different seasons, different tax seasons, different seasonalities, different countries. So wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in your cycle, so to speak, I'm super excited to talk about this. So before we get started. My name is Ilya Radzinsky. I'm a co-founder and also the chief product officer at TaxDome. And with me, I have Peter. Peter is the chief revenue officer of TaxDome. And also we have Ricardo. So Ricardo is a client of TaxDome, and he's a co-founder and partner at Dental Tax. So the three of us are going to be talking about a lot of interesting things today, but I'm just going to give you guys both a few words to say about yourselves of something I might have missed.
Of course. So thank you for the introduction. So my name is Peter. I'm from Austria, so excuse me my German accent. I will try, to talk as clear as possible. I see a lot of familiar faces or names, and let me know afterwards on LinkedIn how you liked the webinar. And for all of those who are just thinking about using TaxDome, I just recommend you listen carefully. And afterwards, just go to taxdome.com, sign up for the trial, and our team is there to support you with any questions and get started.
A little bit about me. I'm based in Canada. I run a tax and accounting firm, specialized in dentist, full suite of tax and accounting services, tax prep, bookkeeping, with a huge emphasis on tax planning, as well as we are licensed for wealth management as well, and CFO services as well for clients. We've been doing this since 2018, so we're in our 5th year now, growing every single year, and we've been using TaxDome for about a year and a half now.
Awesome. All right, well, now you know who we are. I'll tell you a little bit about TaxDome. So for those of you that are using TaxDome, you've been using it for a while, but you might not actually know the scale. We're over 10,000 firms, and we're in more than 25 countries now. So that's kind of why in the beginning I was mentioning how, so Peter is from Austria. We have clients in Austria. Ricardo is from Canada. We have lots of clients in Canada as well. And we're in more than 25 countries right now. So super proud to say that. And not only that, but obviously we've won a bunch of awards and so forth. But the thing I'm most proud of is that we are delivering a product that is helping people, right? At the end of the day, we're helping practitioners run their businesses, and we're helping their clients communicate with them in the most effective manner. And by doing both of those things, I genuinely feel that we're delivering value, and we're making your business run smoother than it would otherwise. So I personally am really proud of that, and looking forward to continuing to do that for many more years in many more countries.
Well, I have to mention that 3 years ago when I joined TaxDome, I never knew or never thought about that I'm going to know so much about accounting in so many countries across the world. So very, very exciting insights. If you want to know something more about other countries, please ping me on LinkedIn or something like that. And, happy to share more insights.
Awesome. All right, so let's give a quick overview of today's agenda. So first, we're going to talk about just what are proposals and engagement letters. And a lot of questions are going to get asked. Well, I just want a proposal, or I just want an engagement letter. We're going to talk about all of those different things. We're going to talk about how you can use them and how it would benefit both you and your clients, right? So not just, and they're actually very distinct benefits to both. And we're going to cover them because, again, we're not just focused on the firm experience, but we're very much focused on your client's experience, because the happier your clients are, the happier you'll be. After that, we're going to actually talk a little bit of logistics of actually walking you through of how to create proposals and engagement letters, right? So walk you through the whole process of it, answer any questions there. And then we're going to show you actually what the process looks like for your clients, because again, the more you see what they will see, the better you can craft your own message, and the better you can convey what you want to convey to them. And finally, we're going to talk about future plans of kind of where the evolution of this feature and in general things that we're going to talk about. So, all right, let's kick it off. So, what are proposals and engagement letters? You're going to see oftentimes ELs. It's just an acronym because we don't want very long titles, but effectively proposals and engagement letters in TaxDome. So if you've been using TaxDome, then you are likely familiar with our contract functionality. Contracts are now proposals and engagement letters. It's really just the next evolution of that. And really what it allows you to do is to present your firm to clients in your best way possible, set proper expectations of the services you're going to be delivering, explain those services so that when the client is looking through them and reading through the proposal, understanding what those are. At the same time, you can set very clear, and that's the expectation part, is the very clear engagement letter. So you can clear terms and conditions of how you want to work, how you expect to work with the client. And most importantly, can secure timely payments. So really, this is tying in all of those different functionalities together in one place, in one seamless experience for both you, where it's transparent for you, and at the same time for your clients who are, going to be going through this process. So we're gonna get started and walk you through. So the first part I want to mention is with this feature, you get to replace another app, right? And for practitioners, more and more, you're seeing really the value of TaxDome being able to replace more and more of your tech stack. And this is something that we really wanted to focus on for a while, because even though we've had contracts and we had invoices, they weren't really together, right? And it wasn't one seamless experience. So now with proposals and engagement letters in one unified feature, you're able to have that entire experience in one application, save money because you're using fewer software licenses, right? You don't have to buy a whole different software just for this. Your data is all in one place, so you don't have to try to synchronize different systems. And importantly for your clients is they're going to have that seamless experience of every communication with your firm is going to feel the exact same way. It's going to look the exact same way. It's going to convey your brand. It's going to convey your niche. If you want to convey a specific reason of how you work and the kind of clients that you work with, they're going to feel that with every single interaction with your firm, whether it's on desktop or on mobile.
Something important to mention here, Ilya, is as you guys maybe have maybe have seen already the webinar from last week where we introduced a little bit reporting. So I just want to stress here that as more you utilize TaxDome, as more features you use in TaxDome, as more detailed the reporting will be afterwards.
Exactly. So before we even step back into how to use them, right? Or let's even talk about should you be using them, right? What is an engagement letter and should you be using them? And this is an exhibit actually from a insurance company. So your insurance company believes that you should be using engagement letters, and obviously to many people on this webinar, you're probably saying, well, duh, obviously, right? This is an expectation. And I was talking to Ricardo about this. And Ricardo, what is your experience with engagement letters? How long have you been using them? Do you use them? How long have you been using them? And just your experience with them overall.
Yes, we definitely use it for every single client. It's actually mandated by our college, so we have to. If we don't, then it's just a compliance risk that we're taking. And if we get audited, it's not going to be good news for us. So we use it for every single client. We send out the engagement letter once a year, every single year. Every single client gets it. So we have to do it. Not only is it a good practice, but it's also mandated by the college.
One thing I want to highlight here is, if you notice, it's not just for tax, right? You should have an engagement letter for every single service you deliver to your clients, right? And this is some data from that insurance company, the claims that they get, and you can see they go across the board. So I guess the main thing I want to really stress is you should be using an engagement letter in every single service that you're doing. Now, this is something also I read when I was doing research on this, is I was surprised. I was kind of blown away by this, is how few practitioners use engagement letters. So according to CNA, which again is that insurance company, only 50% of their claims that they received had an engagement letter. I was shocked. I mean, Ricardo, does this surprise you? I mean, you use them, but in other practitioners that you've spoken to, does this, what do you think of these numbers? Does this make sense to you?
No, it doesn't make sense. Especially here in Canada, it's mandated by our college. So if you're not, then you're just risking potentially fines, penalties, and even you losing your license to practice, and no one wants that. So yeah, it definitely shocked me to read how few are actually doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So I think and so we've kind of established that in general you should be using this, and hopefully maybe this is kind of a functionality issue, right? Maybe people want to, but they didn't find a good way of doing it, right? And that's partially why I was saying we wanted to bring all of these things together, bringing in engagement letters and proposals and invoices into one seamless operation, so that in my mind, every single firm that uses TaxDome, that number should be 100. Right. And we want to make it as seamless as possible for everyone to do that and make it as easy as possible for you to do that. So we'll talk about that of how to do it. But the TLDR is your insurance company, which is likely mandates that you use engagement letters. And at the same time, you shouldn't be doing it just to check a box for your insurance company. You should be doing it to protect yourself. Right. At the end of the day, an engagement letter is there to protect your firm in case of a claim, and at the same time to set clear expectations to the client of what you're really delivering, and timelines, expectations, and as we know, the best the best thing to have is a clear expectation on all sides, and that's what makes both the business and the customer happy when everybody knows exactly what to expect.
And also, it makes you look professional. When you send this engagement, it makes you like a credible company, a professional one.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll about the templates, we'll talk about that, but we do have built-in templates, and we're also working with various agencies and various societies to provide their own official engagement letters in our marketplace. So we have some ready-made templates, and we're going to have more and more here for you, so that you don't have to start from scratch, but they'll be ready-made engagement letters for you to use. So, okay, we talked about the engagement letter part, right? So that's the more, like we talked about, protecting yourself, protecting your firm, setting expectations. But then we also have the proposal aspect of it, right? So should you use proposals? And this is actually an interesting question. I don't know if we actually have a poll on this, but this is interesting, whether or not you use proposals now. And my hunch would tell me the number is way lower than the firms that use engagement letters, because oftentimes, especially for firms that re-engage with a client over and over, they're like, we just send them an engagement letter. We're just continuing on and on and on. And, just kind of, we worked with you last year, here's your next engagement letter, and we just kind of continue. But, should you be using proposals? And I actually very much believe that you should. And this is purely a business decision of why you should, in that the competition is getting more and more, right? You used to be able to just get clients because they lived in your town or because they knew somebody. But, now with companies like TaxDome that make being able to work remotely easy, more and more just purely virtual only shops, firms are no longer restricted by location. Clients can find you anywhere, and competition's only growing. So there's over 90,000 accountants in the US alone. So the reason I think that you should be using proposals, and I'm curious Peter and Ricardo's opinion on this, but I think that you should, because it again makes you look professional, and it conveys a certain confidence in your client that they're working with a professional firm versus with somebody that knows taxes or consulting or audit. And those are two different things. You can be amazing at your craft, but you also want your client to understand that you are, and you want to make them feel that they're working with a professional organization. Even if you have a team of 5 only, you want to make that client feel that they're working with a firm that has 150 people, right? And that's part of using tools that allow your firm to provide that professionalism, to provide a seamless digital experience, because again, it conveys that professionalism from your firm. Peter, what do you think?
No, I mean, definitely, you want to give them this guided experience, like from A to Z, you want them your clients to feel like, okay, this firm is onboarding me from the beginning until the end with the tailored, maybe you have already a Q&A prepared, or you want to already answer their questions they maybe have. And this is, where we really want to put the value in the proposals.
I would agree with that as well. And the main reason why we also use it too is, prospects call us, we go through a needs analysis, we give them packages and pricing. A common question that we get is, hey, can you send me an email with all of this that we just talked about? Well, rather than doing something manually, you use a proposal, which you have a standard template. You can customize it for the packages, but it just saves us a lot of time in sending follow-up to prospects, which is something that we get asked for a lot. So that's why we use it, and also to look professional, give a different client experience, as well as to avoid scope creep. We have all been a victim, and will probably continue to be a victim of scope creep at some point in our firms with clients that we have. So by using a proposal and the engagement letters, really it allows you to put in there black and white what you're actually going to be offering to your clients. And if they step outside of the proposal, then you can now come back to them and say, look, this is outside of the scope. We need to charge you X dollars more or whatever, but have that conversation, because one of the things that we all suffer with is we do a lot of work for free. So by having proposals and really having that black and white, what you're actually going to offer for the client for the services that they are going to pay, it gives us the out to say, look, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, you're stepping outside of your boundary now, and we need to revisit pricing.
Right, and Ricardo mentioned, a important keyword like money wasting money. Is like, you need to understand that I also make some research, and 1 of 4 firms that don't get paid within the expected time frame. And the other number, what I saw is that 50% of accounting firms, they chase their payments outside of their regular working hours. So you literally are out there after your business hours, spending even more time just to get paid. So, we want to work against that.
And one thing that, I'll mention is, especially those of you that work with businesses, which I presume is probably going to be a very high percentage of you, in the business world, every single business works on proposals, right? This is, even though we're talking about this as this novel concept of introducing this, but an RFP, which many of you have heard, an RFP is a request for a proposal. Every single professional company, especially the more you go, you're talking about, the bigger the company is, there's always, they set out, this is what we're looking to do, and this, you bid on a project effectively, right? But at the end of the day, every project should have a specific scope. It should have deliverables, it should have timelines, it should have payment schedules, and that's part of what you can deliver here as well, right? So every restaurant that you work with, they have suppliers that they have to pay, net 30, there's net 60, there's terms for everything. They're always outlined, and in every single business transaction. And the accounting industry has been a little bit, behind the ball on this, and we want to make sure that don't be afraid of this. This is normal in the business world. This is expected. So want to kind of bring that here, not just from an accounting perspective, but on a wider scale of business. So one other thing I really wanted to talk about is, again, how the professionalism aspect, right? So we really wanted you to be able to elevate your brand and convey the expertise. Again, the more professional you look, you have to remember your clients, they are trying to determine whether they're going to work with you or accounting firm B or accounting firm C or accounting firm D, right? How do they know who they should work with? It's, at the end of the day, most of it's a gut feel, right? They're going to look at reviews online. They're going to look at maybe their friend that worked with you. Maybe they have a family member that worked with you. But at the end of the day, they're not professional pickers of accountants. The same way you guys aren't professional pickers of software, right? At the end of the day, you make some choice based off of information that you have. And by putting in multimedia, in videos especially, that we recommend, as well as your logo and everything, but really multimedia, you can make your proposals and your brand be elevated, right? So for example, one trend that I've noticed is big in the accounting world is specialization, right? So, and actually Ricardo on here, his firm name is Dental Tax, right? I believe so. So you specialize specifically in dental practice. So by making a video or conveying that this is what you focus on, or customer experiences, or some reason of making that client feel confident that they're making the right choice, that this is the firm that I should be working with, the more you can do that, the higher your conversion rates are going to be. And in general, the reason why I keep stressing the video aspect of it is, there's a lot of research that shows there's a big difference between people looking at text and how they perceive video. So the more you can put video in, and we really want you to do that here, whether using whether you're working with restaurants, whether you work with construction companies, dental practices, nonprofits, whatever it is that you do, and specialization is a huge trend in the accounting world. You don't want to just say it; you want to convey it in your proposals.
Exactly. And it's more niche because Ilya mentioned that the trend is now that accounting firms go more niche. It's easier also to work with them. So it's easier how you communicate, how you present yourself as a company, how you do your content on a website, and of course also your proposals. Because if you focus, let's say, for example, only on real estates, you can create this video around them. And if you have already real estate clients, then record them or ask them, hey, can you make a client testimonial, a video testimonial, and add it to the proposal? Because they maybe not believe you, but they maybe believe one of their colleagues, and it just creates a much higher credibility for you, that they say, okay, this is the firm I want to go to.
All right, so let's talk about now actually what, how you create it. What do they look like, right? So the first thing I really want to stress is, again, we've been talking about both proposals and engagement letters, but you may have your reasons for wanting to do one or the other. Whatever it is, we leave it to you, right? We want to give you the tools to build exactly what you want. So the first thing, when you're making it, you can choose exactly what you want to have in there. So your first step, and actually it's on production now, so all of you can go and click. You can, everything that I'm saying, you can follow on your page right now. Click new, create a proposal, and then you're going to see multiple steps that you can choose between. So the first one is an introduction. So again, this is purely a letter that you can include, so that explains whatever it is that you want to convey. Maybe in general, your firm's history. Maybe you can convey, again, your customer experiences. Maybe you can convey your experience with this specific niche. Anything you want, but again, this is more of just an introduction page that this is the first thing your client will see when they open the proposal, right? So again, putting your best foot forward, we give you the option to do that. And secondly, if you notice, there's that little pencil here. Once you, all of these titles on the left, these are just stages, tabs, so to speak, that your client will be able to see. All of them, you're able to rename as much as you want. So if you, even though it's called introduction, that's just the base name we give you, you can rename it to what you want. And the same thing, terms on the next one, you can rename it to the engagement letter and so forth. So whatever it is that you want to name it, that's what it will be. And then the final one you can see is, then there's services and invoice, and we'll go into detail into all of these a little further down. But there's also a custom message you can include in the email, so that when your client receives the emails of saying, hey, please review this document. And again, it's going to give you the name of the document. So it's not going to say review the proposal, review the engagement letter. If you want to name it 2022, restaurant bookkeeping proposal, that's what they're going to see. If you want to name it 2024 engagement letter, that's what they're going to see. And finally, at the bottom, there's reminders. So if they don't sign, they're going to receive reminders, and you get to control how often that happens, just like every other reminder in TaxDome.
Something to add here, I really recommend to track, the performance of proposals. So, what is the conversion rate, how people, deal with it, and then, try to adapt the content on it. And then, like, let's say in specific timeframes, in 2 weeks, each 2 weeks, and see which one performs. And then you can see, okay, this one with this specific content performed the best, let's say, and then I continue with it.
And actually, with that, it's actually interesting because you have this, you can make it, it's easier for you to test different prices and different clients, right? So let's say you're considering whether or not you want to raise prices on your clients, but you're afraid to do so. You can do it for 30% of your clients, for example, test it and see, did your proposal rate change? How did it impact your business? So to think of your business the same way that you're analyzing, if you do financial statement analysis for your clients, analyzing churn, analyzing, average price, and, how is their, ARPU and terms like that, how that's changing, think of your business in the same exact way, right? So you guys are all experts in this, but oftentimes I find that practitioners don't actually practice themselves, right? They do it for their clients, but you guys are a business. The health of your business, all of these metrics, these are things that you can track much better and test with the help of software like this. So on this page, one thing you see is you are able to not only where we talked on the previous stage. Let me see if I can go back here. Oh, where was this? So see how it says services and invoices? If you toggle that on, you're going to get this stage where you can decide, okay, do I want to force them to pay to sign this invoice right away, or maybe sign on a recurring invoice? So I'm doing bookkeeping for 12 months or something like that. Or do I want to just show an itemized list of services? So, and then if you do want them to pay, you can choose how you want them to pay. So for example, we strongly recommend automatic payment because again, nobody wants to pay an invoice every month when it can just be auto drafted. And I'll go into this in more detail, but the main thing I just really wanted to stress before we even get into it, the nuts and bolts, is every single piece is customizable, whether you want a proposal and an engagement letter, whether or not you want to require payment to sign, whether or not. Everything is fully up to you. We're giving you the tools. You make the decision of what's the best for your business and for every single client. We just want to give you the flexibility. Okay, so this is actually something that I really wanted to address because there's a lot of pushback because we touched on the payment part, right? A lot of practitioners traditionally have billed too late. They always bill towards the end. And when we introduce something like this, or where we talk about, getting paid earlier in the engagement, collecting deposits, there's a fear, right? There's a natural fear around that. And what we want to stress is, and this is all actually taken from our community, there's a big discussion in there about, I want to start collecting deposits or payments. And these are personal experiences from practitioners just in our community that we took, yesterday from the screenshots. But this is just a small subset. This is this is where the industry is going. Every single business gets paid upfront with some kind of deposit in the beginning. Maybe not billed fully, that's up to you. A lot of businesses bill fully, but in every single industry, getting paid a deposit before you start work, especially in any professional services, is the norm. And in the accounting industry, it's moving towards that. And we want to really push you towards doing that because, again, it'll make your business better. Ricardo, what's your experience? Do you collect payment upfront? Do you collect a deposit? Did you have any pushback? What's your experience with this?
Yeah, it's been great actually. We did make the shift over about, I'd probably say maybe a couple of years ago now, because we were doing the work, not collecting any money up front, and we were chasing clients, and it was happening a lot, and we wasted a lot of time chasing clients, and some clients didn't pay, so they essentially got services for free. It's a mistake that we did, and that was more so in the early years when we first started, because we just wanted to get up and going. We just wanted to grow business as quickly as possible. And we were scared of charging upfront. So essentially we had to go through a lot of pain and suffering and mistakes until we finally came up to say, all right, that's it. I'm done wasting time. I'm done losing money on this. I'm done, doing work for free. So we made the change. It took a little bit of time, but now fast forward now to this day, every single one of our clients, it's a requirement to work with us. We essentially bill upfront. We don't do any work until we start billing. So everyone is put on a monthly fee that's charged on the first of every month, upfront, in advance. And that's just a condition of working with us. And if someone comes to us and say, well, can you bill me afterwards once you're done? No, sorry. It's a business choice that we have made. And for the most part, people are fine with it. As long as, you are upfront with it, you have clear expectations with the client, they are fine with it. Yes, you are going to have some people who complain and ask you to bill you afterwards. And you just have to, learn to say no, and be comfortable with that. There's plenty of business out there. And we just need to be more selective of the clients that we work with, and we want to find those people that we want to work with and are happy to work on our terms, rather than many of us in the industry, we tend to work on the client's terms, and it really should be the opposite way around. So we're very happy at that. We've automated this whole thing. I don't have to worry about collections now, so it saved us a lot of time, more profitable as a result, and a much better business.
I mean, those who complain, and correct me if I'm wrong, they will complain about other things too, And I have a question regarding your clients. Do you feel like the clients in general, they expect already prepayments? Are they already educated in this direction?
I probably say 50-50. So because they are usually coming to us because they already have an accountant, but they've had a poor experience with them. So that's why they're changing and they want to work with us. And most of the time, that accountant was used to billing after the fact. So after the work was done. But again, so yes, I'd probably say it's 50-50, 50% of the people, they don't expect it, 50% are fine with it. It's just like, when someone comes to me and says, well, why? Well, I said, well, When you go purchase something at the store, do you take it home for free and then you go back to the store afterwards and actually pay for it? If you're happy with it, no, that's not how 99.9% of business works. And I usually flip it back to them for the dentist, saying that do 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 you as a dentist let your patient leave without paying? And 100% of the time, the answer is no. So I said, well, it's the same thing here, right? So when you phrase it back, if you can find a way to phrase it back to their industry, I find that they're going to be fine with it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, for those of you that do recurring services, right, which is, a lot of people, especially if you work with businesses, you do, recurring work, auto draft is the expectation. It's not, it's everybody expects this. So don't be afraid to do that. And again, within this feature, you're able to collect, that's what automatic, I believe it's called automatic payment or payment authorization, that toggle that we'll show you in a little bit. As long as that's toggled on, once your client provides the information, it's whether or not you want to do credit card or bank payment, it's going to automatically draft them on the time periods that's set up. Nobody has to go in and nobody has to go in and manually pay every invoice. It's just done automatically. So that's the expectation. And if you notice here, your clients, they're able to do it directly from their phones, right? So we'll talk a lot about the client experience, but everything is super easy. But the benefit to you is, again, once this is done the first time, you're never going to have to, well, it just works. They're going to get that charge automatically. If there's ever any failed charges or maybe their credit card, maybe something doesn't work, you'll always be notified and see that there's a payment error and be able to correct it. But at the end of the day, you're not going to spend months, you don't have to spend all this time issuing invoices for clients that, they're on recurring work. It's just going to happen automatically. All right, and again, this brings me back everything at the end of the day. You guys aren't doing this because you're nice people. You're doing this because you have a business to run and you want to get paid faster. Every single business, the earlier you can get paid in the cycle, the healthier that business is. And again, there's nothing here that we introduced that should be anathema to a business. You guys all understand the benefits of it, and we want to give you the tools to be able to get paid earlier in the process. Make sure that your AR is close to zero if possible, and give you, the client-friendly tools to make your client want to work with you again. So if you provide them, if you bring it back to what we talked about earlier, you've conveyed your expertise, you've conveyed your knowledge in their niche, you've conveyed your experience working with those clients and why they should work with you. You've given them a clear understanding of the deliverables that you're going to provide them, and the timelines in which you're going to do it and what they're going to receive. They're going to be completely fine paying for it. And again, there's tons and tons of businesses and tons of other practitioners that have all done this. You can feel confident in doing it. We just want to give you the tools in order to do so. And again, it's going to make your business healthier. All right. So let's talk about the client side. Again, we really want to stress that not only do we give you the flexibility, but we're super focused on the client experience of it, right? So we want to give you the customization of sending your client exactly what you want. And at the same time, you can give, setting it up to how you want it to be. But at the same time, we really want to focus on giving your client a super, super easy experience to view that proposal and to go through with it. So this is really, really, really key. If you notice, everything is on a phone. They're able to access all of this right from their mobile phone. The mobile apps are awesome, and they're able to have a super easy step-by-step process, including all the multimedia. They're able to see it right from their phones. Peter, see you there.
I mean, also why we show so much the mobile app is because we got the feedback from all of you, that the clients respond from 2 till 3 times faster in every messages and anything what you send them, they respond there faster. And you want to have this, you want to have a faster turnaround, because it means that you can scale faster and bigger, so that's why we really push here to the client experience, and where we as TaxDome stand, that we focus on the client experience, because this enables you not to run your business smoother, but your clients love to work with you.
Exactly. And same thing.
Oh, please, yeah.
I just want to add, especially, think about your client. They are busy too, right? So our clients, our dentists, they aren't sitting in front of a computer all day. They are in their practices. They're working in people's mouths. So, they constantly have their phone on them. So having the convenience of being able to take out their phone, look at the proposal or the engagement letter right there and then. It's convenient for them, and how easy and convenient you can make it for your clients, in my opinion, the more successful practice that you're gonna have.
And they're gonna watch at their phone anyway. It's important to mention they check it anyway much more often than the laptop, or the computer. So why you don't communicate directly through the phone with them?
Awesome. And then the other part that I kind of wanted to mention here is there was a question actually, but can it be available on the desktop? Yes, 100%. We're stressing the mobile aspect of it because the desktop we'll show you actually in a second. It's actually it's also super customizable and easy to follow, but it's very easy to make. It's much easier to make the desktop than it is to make the mobile, right? You have a lot more space to work with. It's easier. Making an easy mobile experience is much harder, and that's why I really want to focus on that, because it's a lot easier to do the big when you can do the small. So yes, 100% your clients can access this fully on their desktop as well. And then the other thing that I mentioned is, no, we're obviously not getting rid of the lock document feature. That's separate. You can do that. But again, that's still work that you have to do. If you collect payment up front, or if you collect a deposit up front, you've already got money in the door. Your client is going to be much more likely to pay you in the end. All right, so now let's talk about actually how we create it and how to customize that proposal, right? So we're going to show you the client experience as well. So first thing you do, and you can all follow along with me. This is on production now. You can click the little new button, click proposal, and everything that I'm showing you, you can do. Presumably you don't have templates in there, but you'll see that here once you create templates, and we will have a library of these as well that you can utilize. You'll be able to use those. So first thing you do, select the one account or many accounts that you want to send it for. And obviously we strongly recommend that you include this as part of a workflow. So here I'm showing you to do one-offs, but hopefully over time, you're going to have templates in here that then will be issued as part of your workflow. So let's say I'm just going to use the simple case of tax preparer in the US, because that's the simplest, it's the clearest, service. In the beginning of January, you're going to, send off your kickoff letter to your clients, and we're going to have a webinar about this. You're going to say, hey, welcome back. We'd love to work with you again. Some letter to your new clients. You should send them as part of that workflow an automated proposal and engagement letter as part of that. Those of you that have already been doing this as existing clients with contracts, this has replaced it. So if you have a previous contract that was in there, it's going to be now replaced with this proposal engagement letter, and all of your content has been migrated. So if you had text, if you had images, it's all already there in a simplified version, and you can now update that template to include all these additional features that I'm talking about. And the one thing I want to see is that name at the bottom. That's what they're going to see when they open their email. That's what they're going to see in the interface. They're not going to see the word proposal. They're not going to see engagement letter. They're going to see whatever it is that you name it. So this one says Acme Corp proposal. It's going to say, please review Acme Corp proposal. Next here. Yep. So next, all of these steps that I mentioned, wanted to reiterate, you can rename them. So for those of you that say, well, I don't want to do an engagement letter. I do a contract because that's what we do in my industry. Great. Call it a contract. If you want to call it an engagement letter, call it an engagement letter. Every single step that your client will see, you can fully customize and rename it to exactly what you want. And again, we strongly recommend that you include this as part of the workflow, because then that proposal is automatically going to be linked to the job from which it was created from. So we'll talk more about that as well, but we really strongly recommend you to use the workflow feature, because then everything is integrated in one place. Again, every single thing can be renamed. So you see this word introduction. If you remember, you can rename it. And here, this is where we strongly recommend to, just give an outline of your brand, right? Promote yourself, whether or not, I spoke to Ricardo, he uses he had a brochure that he created for his firm, which explains, their history, which explains the kind of clients that they work with what they do. This is simply a multimedia version of that, right? So if you have a brochure, you can simply insert the images if you want to do that. If you want to embed a video, which again, we strongly recommend video over text, just because people like it. They react well to video over text. But you can include any multimedia that you want and present it in the way that you want. And the thing that we recommend to do is, once you create one of these, just test it, play with it, open it on your phone, see what it looks like. And you'll get, show it to your neighbor, show it to your brother, show it to your sister. Like, hey, what do you think of this? Because those are the people, not the people at your company that look at this every day, but your neighbor and the random person that you're working with. That's who you're selling your services to, right? They're not professionals in the accounting industry. They're a random person that you're saying, hey, what do you think of this? Does this make sense to you? And from a brand promotion aspect of it. Okay, the next step, step 3 is the terms and conditions. And again, what I'm showing you, everything here, these are steps that you could have enabled in the beginning stage. So those toggles that you see on your first step of what you're enabling, this has all of them enabled. So the term step, this is where you want to put your engagement letter, right? So again, you can rename it. Where it says engagement letter, this is a title box. You can name this to whatever it is that you want it to be. And that title that you're seeing here, this is going to be the name of the tab that your client sees. So as they're progressing through it, they're going to see the tabs of, like, first I did my engagement letter, then I'm going to go to the payment aspect of it. You can rename all of those sections to what you want it to be. And again, instead of you doing this each time, a new one, create a template. And then once you create a template, it just happens. It's seamless. It takes no time to do it, and it speeds up the process for you tremendously. Okay, now this was a big question that we had, especially during the early access, is we wanted to give you the option of allowing, and this is kind of what a lot of our discussion earlier was about, collecting payments earlier and making invoices part of the process. Now, we got some feedback that there are many people that want to simply show the itemized invoices, but not create an invoice. So based off the feedback in the early access community, again, we listen to everything you guys say. So please, keep giving us feedback. We want that feedback. Because of that feedback, we added in this option. So if you don't want to create invoices or deposits, you can, but you still want to show the client the itemized list of services that you're going to be delivering, you can do that as well. Now, the other thing that we added is we made it really easy, because you asked for this, but at the same time, we were thinking, one step ahead of, okay, you do this, but at some point you need to get paid, right? So if you do this itemized invoice without creating, the itemized services without creating the invoice, we make it really easy through one button to create an invoice afterwards. So let's say you decide saying, hey, I don't want to invoice up front. I'm going to get paid at the end of my process on completion. You click one button, and those itemized services that you outlined, that's going to pre-populate an invoice for you. So we made it really easy for you to bill later if you don't want to bill upfront. But if you do ask for an invoice or ask for a deposit, we recommend that as best practice, because again, then you can set up those automatic payments, right? If you say, yes, I want to create invoices, then you're able to do simply a deposit. And we're actually going to, this is actually one thing that we want to make even better, is make it clearer, give you more flexibility in asking for those deposits. But you can create a one-time invoice, or again, if you're setting up a bookkeeping proposal, you can set up a recurring invoice. So if you're sending a proposal for 12 months of bookkeeping, you can have that, as soon as they sign the proposal, kick off that series of 12 months of automatically drafted payments that's going to be drafted on the first of the month or whatever schedule that you set up, right? So again, all the way from the proposal to the engagement letter to the kickoff of the recurring invoice, every single part of that process is one seamless experience for your client. And at the end of the day, you get paid faster. You don't have to spend time manually billing for these things. You don't have to check up on it. Every single client that you engage with, you know that they're ready, willing, and able to pay, or have already paid you upfront, as we were talking with Ricardo, in terms of that just being a normal business practice that you want to do. And again, you have flexibility here in terms of whether you want to issue an invoice a week later or 2 weeks later. There's tons of flexibility. I just wanted to talk about the general idea of you can have it one-time invoice, you can have it kick off a series of recurring invoices, or if you simply just want to show an itemized list of invoice services without creating the invoice, you can do that too. Okay, now payment options. Again, you customize everything, right? So instead of, you don't have to simply accept credit cards or bank payments. You can choose. So for example, if you have a client that pays you, $5,000 a month, you might want to collect that through a bank debit because you want to pay less fees than a credit card. So in those proposals, you might want to send, hey, here's a bank debit only, and you can only pay that. And they're going to put in their checking and their bank, routing number, and it'll automatically draft. But if you have a smaller engagement, if your engagement, I don't know, $500 or something like that, you might just want to let the client pay, give them the choice of credit card or bank debit or credit card. You have full decision over how you want to get paid. And I really want to stress that again. We don't care. We want to give you the option of getting paid exactly how you want to do, of how you want to get paid in every single case. And again, if they do the automatic payment, and their information will be stored automatically. So it's going to be stored in Stripe. It's compliant, it's secure. You never have to, spend any time of writing down their banking information. You're not, forget those old authorization forms where you had to store it somewhere and have them sign. This is all digital. It's all one. Yeah, exactly. Ricardo knows what I'm talking about. It's all one seamless experience, and they're never going to have to go in and pay. It's going to be automatic if you do the automatic payment. See, they authorize the payment once, and that's it. Every single payment after that will happen automatically.
Yeah, that's just a huge time saver, really. We used to do that. And just the amount of time that we had to spend because the client would sign the authorization form. And then now you need to manually input the banking into the POS payment processor and then set up the recurring schedule. And then, like it was just a big pain, a lot of wasted time. So having it being automatic, it's a huge time saver, really. And one thing that we do for payments with our clients, we do give clients the choice whether they want us to pull from their business bank account or through their credit card. If they choose credit card, we let them know upfront that we tag on a 4% service fee on top. And surprisingly, people are cool with it. They want to get their points. And if they want to get their points, fine. You pay for the credit card fee. It's not going to come out of our pocket. Whereas before we were eating that cost, and that's 3 or 4% off of your bottom line right there. So, just making that small tweak, we are able to grow our practice by 4%.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And again, people are, the reason why they do it is they prefer the simplicity of it at the end of the day. And that's really why I really want to, again, stress the user experience and the client experience is as long as you make the experience for your clients easy, as long as it's simple, as long as they don't really have to think about it, they're willing to pay a lot more than you think. I'm obviously very focused on the actual business of the accounting world. And there's all of these accountants that, they talk about how they want to raise their prices and they want to have, fewer clients. And you'd be surprised at how many more of your clients are willing to pay more as long as you provide them the great experience. They're hiring you for compliance, right? That's the basic reason why they're hiring, either compliance or financial assistance. But really what they're buying is peace of mind. They're buying that, you're going to make their life easier, and that's really what they want to focus on. And every single experience that's hard for them, that takes away from that feeling of I hired this person to make my life easier, and instead they have to think about it. So that's why we want to make every single experience that they have with your firm seamless and actually leave a good taste in their mouth every time they work with you, because that's going to make them much more likely to want to pay you a higher price and to return next year. And again, this is one thing I wanted to mention. So we got feedback during the early access community that sometimes you don't want to issue the invoice, but you want to make that price list clear. So we've given you that option here as well. So you can add, if you click without creating invoices, add the itemized invoices, you can itemize those. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we made it really easy for you to click one button, create invoice, and that invoice will get created automatically, pre-populating this fee. So this is $1,300 in fees. If you do this, if you at a later point, you'll be able to easily click create new invoice, and this will make it automatic. Here we are. We're going to show, we talked about the firm view, right? So we talked about how all the options you have. We talked about how you can customize it and you can give, your firm can choose based on service, based on engagement, full optionality of exactly how you want to get paid, when you want to get paid, and the information that you want to include. But all of this comes down to what is it your client going to see and whether or not your clients are going to sign these proposals and engagement letters. So what I really want to focus on here is the actual client experience. So first thing is it's a seamless digital experience from start to finish. And Peter, from your experience, in talking to lots of firm owners, what is your experience with the importance of the digital experience and how making it easy, just kind of not for me, but from your experience talking to other firms?
I mean, I mentioned it already before, like you want to, so every tool you use for your firm, you represent your firm, your accounting firm, and that's why, we really focus here on the experience for the clients, how it looks like, is it easy to use, how many clicks they have to go through. And again, that's why I also mentioned in the beginning, you want to have your target audience, you want already to answer some questions they have, that the end goal or the perfect end goal is that they just read, yes, sign, payment, done. And this is, the end goal you want to have. And we give you the tool for it. All you need to do is, know how to communicate with your clients in a very efficient way.
somebody was asking before about the desktop experience, right? So I'm focusing on mobile. This is the desktop experience. So the first thing I want you to see is just what is the client experience going to be? They're going to receive an email, a notification in their portal, and a notification in their mobile app if they have that enabled, right? So every touch point where they could possibly get it, they're going to receive notification about it. And as soon as they click the button, assuming email, it's going to automatically open the proposal for them. It's not going to, they're not going to hunt around your portal looking for it. It's going to directly take them to it, whether they're using the mobile app or whether they're using the the web browser. It's going to take them automatically to the proposal. Then, if you notice, they're going to see it's going to be branded to you. So at the top, Acme Accounting, that's simply a logo. It could say Dental Tax, or it could say, whatever your accounting firm's name is, it's going to be your logo. Over here where it says Tax Return Proposal, that is the name of the document that they see, right? So if you named it 2023 engagement letter, they're going to see 2023 engagement letter. So there was a question here about, oh, but it says, the client's name. You can name it whatever you want. So if you want to make it more general by having it this, you can do that. And at the same time, there's short codes you can utilize. Next thing I want you to see is the tabs. See where it says introduction, engagement letter, invoices, payments. Those are the settings that I was showing you earlier on the firm side. So based on the firm settings that you select, so if you didn't select the introduction, this tab, this step in the process would be gone. If you didn't select terms, this step would be gone. And if you notice, it says engagement letters, not terms. So you can, reminder, you can name the tabs of whatever it is that you want it to be. Okay, so your client's going to go through them, and we make it really easy for them to do it both in their browser or on their mobile app to access all of this there. All right, so let's talk, and there's we're going to talk about Q&A as well, and then I want to talk about kind of the future of proposals and kind of where this is going. So one thing I really wanted to highlight is packages. There's a lot of questions about this, and this is going to be coming. So we're looking at the early part of next year of having packages added. So it won't be in this initial release. So what you see right now is the ability to add one package, but you're going to be able to select up to 3 packages of what you want. And this is something that I know, I was talking to Ricardo, he says this is critical for him. Lots of other firm owners and, other managers, they believe that this is critical because when you have choices, and there's lots of sales psychology around this, why you want to offer packages and, which one you want to steer your clients to. There's lots of, business books you can read about this or look into, but we wanted to stress that this is definitely going to be coming. So we're super excited to deliver that. So that's going to be the next big feature, the next big improvement to proposals that's going to be coming next year. Awesome. So we've had a lot of questions answered. I think we're doing great on time. And I'm going to cover live Q&A as well. So, I'm going to try to go as many as I can, but there's lots and lots of questions in here. And I see our team has answered almost 180 questions. So I just want to give a shout out to the guys here. You've done fantastic in terms of answering those questions. But before we do that, so this is the Q&A team. I'll go there. But before we do that, I want to give you kind of a insight into something that we're releasing actually next week. So this is our bootcamp. We mentioned this in the previous webinar. And this bootcamp is going to be coming out next week. So what is the bootcamp? It is a live series of hands-on workshops hosted by our team. First off, it's absolutely free. There's no charge for this because I know a bunch of people were asking about it. And it is a series of 1-hour sessions every single day. Every session has both handouts that you're going to be giving, and it's an actual walkthrough. So you're online, you're at your computer, and you're doing it with our team. And we've structured it to get you set up as quickly as possible. And we're going to cover everything from importing clients. We're going to talk about customizing workflows. We're going to talk about just in general best practices and other Q&A. But they're not just passive webinars. They really want to stress that these are live hands-on workshops that we're super excited to do. So we had a test of this about, I think, last week or the week before, and it went really well. We had some great feedback. So some of you were actually in the beta session, so to speak. So thank you for being there. And then on Monday, we're going to have this series. They're going to have this boot camp get started. So the link is in the chat. Mm-hmm.
There is no better way to start the busy season, guys. So I really recommend to join the beta testers. They had great experience. So sign up, and a lot of questions you have will be answered there.
So the link is in the chat right now, but we're also going to send it out. So don't, if you're on your phone or you lose it, don't worry. We're going to send out the link as well. We're going to have it posted on our social media. But starting next week, there are 5 sessions, and you will also receive the recording. But we strongly actually really recommend you to join live, right? Because these are live hands-on workshops. You can ask questions. You can. The goal is, again, not a passive webinar, but a hands-on workshop. If we were all in person, we were in one place, we would do it in in one hotel or some conference room. But because we're all over the world, we've got people from Argentina to the Philippines, and those are some of the countries I saw earlier. We want to make this as easy as possible. So please join the bootcamp. We're excited to have you there. And now I'm going to talk a little more about cover some more Q&A that I see some people were doing. So what are some questions that we have here? Okay, so there's a question about invoice numbers. The question is, can I use my own invoice numbers? So I believe if the invoice is generated automatically, it's going to take in your firm settings there, you can set what the next number is going to be. So it's going to do it automatically from there. And that next number can be pulled in from your QuickBooks Online, or it can be the next numerical number. So if you go to your firm settings and you can check our help, you can see that information there. Okay. Our component of a proposal. So yes, there will be templates ready for you to use. A lot of comments about people thanking us and saying they agree that it's really easy to use. So awesome. I'm very happy that you agree.
I saw questions about how to add the charges, the credit card charges on the invoice.
Got it. So, yep. So credit card, we actually will be adding that feature to allow you to pass through. So right now you can simply add it as a fee, bake it into your fee, which is what we recommend. But we will be adding that feature as well to allow you to pass through the payment to your client. So that will be added. That is not an option right now as well. There's a lot of questions about bank accounts and credit cards and fees. So again, if you use the automatic payment authorization, you can select how you want your client to pay, whether it's credit card, whether it's bank debit, or you want to give the client the option. Obviously, there are different fees for them. You can look on the payment processing site, but from what I remember, credit cards are basically 3%, and ACH or bank debits in other countries are generally lower fees and capped. So you can see the payment processing there. But again, you can choose how you get paid, and they're both available through the Stripe payment platform. What is the best way to collect a deposit and then the balance upon completion when you don't know the balance that will be due or will be due? You can create multiple invoices, but requires you to set the amount and date of that later invoice. So it's a great question, Donna. And if you don't know what the final price is going to be, it's very difficult to we can't create the price for you. That's why we strongly recommend in general, a lot of times for people that have variable pricing like that, right? Where you, let's say, have a base fee, and then once you look over the client information, it's going to modify your fee. We recommend to collect a deposit early on. So let's say if your fee is anywhere from, let's say, $500 to $1,500, just making this up, collect a deposit of $500 and then make it clear in your terms and conditions that the balance will be charged based off of the information that they provide you. And then once you complete the engagement, then you can issue that balance of $1,000 and link it to that same job. So you already collected the $500 up front, and that balance of $1,000 you're going to bill once you've made it clear of how much you're going to bill to make your invoice whole. Some people were asking about that they use a subscription already that they already use the subscription feature in Stripe. You can do it directly through TaxDome. So this is not the subscription feature in Stripe. This is an all-in-one. So Stripe is a payment processor that we use. But everything that we talked about here is really a unified client experience. So it's a unified client experience of your brand, your client experience, whether on the desktop or mobile app. That's why we recommend to do it through here, as opposed to a standalone system, right? So it's, Stripe has a subscription service. You can send a recurring invoice through QBO. You can use lots and lots of different tools, but at the end of the day, you're reducing your client experience, right? Your client, you want them to remember your brand at every step of the way. You don't want them to think about QuickBooks or all of these other tools, or Stripe or some other tool. They don't care. They want to see, dental tax. They want to see Acme Accounting. They want to see the name of your brand at every single interaction, because that's who they're dealing with. The actual back-end processor of Stripe, they don't care about. There's some questions about adding PDFs to the proposal. So you can embed images and you can embed videos. if there are use cases for embedding in, adding in PDFs or something similar, which are interesting, because I was talking to, Ricardo, for example, because his firm has already created a brochure, right? They already have this brochure. So that is something that's interesting. It's not going to be there right now, but, please use the feature request board and kind of explain to us how you're looking to use it, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, you can just add in those images of key. But I would strongly recommend, for example, this is what I would do, again, as a business owner and somebody that wants to convey the importance. I would simply record a loom of myself going through the brochure. And I would embed that video in your proposal. Because again, then they're going to see you going through it. You're going to be able to accent on the parts that they get to see. Because if you have a text-heavy proposal, I'm sure you've spent tons of time looking at it, but it's like every white paper in every company that ever has, nobody reads it, right? Because there's so much text. It makes you look good, which is there. But if your goal is to look good, having you review it, and having a loom, which is a video recording of yourself on screen just going through that PDF, might be really helpful there. So that's personally what I would do in that scenario. But I also understand why some people might want to attach a PDF. So put it in our feature request board, and our team will know. There. Can we create invoices the client cannot see to allow the team to add invoices as the season goes on, not share with the client? So yes and no. Yes, in the sense we actually just released for many firms that do time and billing, we actually just released a work in progress page. So this way you can easily see, your outstanding billing that you have not billed for yet at this time. And we're also going to be separately, we are going to be adding in draft invoices. So that's not available yet, but we will also be adding in draft invoices there. So Lynn, if your answer is you do it because it's through time and you want to bill for the time afterwards, you can do that now through the work in progress page, where your client will not see that, but your team will. But if you want to do it by simply creating a draft invoice, you'll be able to have that as well. Can we show some examples of what the proposal or EL would look like? So that's what I was showing earlier as well. I don't think I can, let me see what I can go here. Actually, here you go. This is what it looks like. Very simple. So this is what your client will see on a desktop, and it's going to walk them through it. And every single step, there's even a next button at the top, but you can test it, and it's super easy. It's really, there's been lots and lots of testing on this, of user testing of, not on me and people, and not on me and not on Peter, but on, regular people out there that are not software aficionados. They're not accountants, but regular business people of what they think and whether it's easy for them to use.
I saw some questions that you charge each client different amounts. So, well, we don't recommend this, and if you need some help, with how to adapt your sales strategy towards your clients, you can contact me directly. I'm happy to advise you a little bit more here. But, the proposal should be really like how we mentioned in the beginning, that, you have your niche, you have your charges, like especially how Ricardo said, he has a subscription. So, then it's the best way to use those proposals.
And not just that, but if you have based on complexity, so if you have, for example, if your business, if you have 500 clients and every single one of them has their own pricing structure, as Peter said, the reason why that's less ideal is because it's much harder to make those changes over time, right? Let's say you want to raise your prices by 10% next year for whatever reason. Let's say you want to do that. It's going to be very difficult for you to do that across 400 different clients that'll have their own, own structure and so forth, versus if you have, and that's kind of where the packages come in. It's much easier if you just have, 3 packages or what that you offer them, and then you raise the prices on those packages, or, you modify them and so forth. But if you do have 400 individual clients with all individual proposals, what I recommend you to do is the way I would standardize it is I would collect that deposit at the beginning and then bill each of those clients later in the process for the balance of what they owe. So that way you collect the minimum amount of work to get started in the beginning, and then you go forward. But again, over time, I would recommend to, try to standardize your work more so. And again, this isn't just my recommendation, as you see kind of, Ricardo, from your experience in the industry, with everything going more towards, CAS and more subscription-based. Kind of what's your experience there of, making that transition to more standardized pricing?
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with what you say. So we offer 3 packages for every single prospect who comes in. We don't separate. So we have one price per package, but the package doesn't separate. Hey, you're paying this for this, this for that, this for that. Then that way, if we do want to raise our rates, we just increase the price for the whole package at once, which makes it much easier. But also we throw in something called in an additional fee schedule, which is part of the engagement letter. So if there's something there that maybe, the client forgot to tell us, like, for example, one thing, we're doing their business tax return and they forgot to tell us that they have, for example, cash value life insurance, or they have a corporate investment account that they forgot to tell us about, which we charge extra for those things. We have an additional fee schedule in there that lists out, hey, if we need to charge extra for this or that, or for example, also some clients who do their own bookkeeping, they want to, from time to time, they call us and say, hey, can we book a time for bookkeeping session? We have a list of schedules there saying, look, if you're going to have this that wasn't priced in, here's what that fee schedule is. And that way it gives you that out to go back and say, look, this is out of scope, but here's our fee schedule. I'm going to go back and charge you this. And then I can tag on that price at any point in time.
Awesome. Okay, great. And I think we've covered a lot of questions here. So first off, I just want to huge thank you to Ricardo for joining us. I think it's been super helpful. Peter, thank you for joining as well. Everyone on here, you guys, as mentioned, every single thing that we've talked about, you're going to see this the video recording and the transcript of all the questions. So if your question was, there's 240 questions that were answered. So you're going to see those in the follow-up email when we post about it as well. And then finally, you will also, about the bootcamp, again, we put the link in here, but you'll also be able to register for it separately if you guys are online as well. But super excited to deliver this. Any final words from Ricardo, Peter?
From my side, to all attendees and all our customers, and never stop communicating with us. This is what makes us the best, and we want to be the best. So always give us feedback. You know how to reach us. This is crucial for us. So never step back or hesitate to reach out to us and give feedback how we can improve.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about saving us time, right? And we all want to make our practices more efficient, and this has saved us a lot of time. So yes, it does require work upfront to set it all up, but once you have it set up once, it really makes it easy for future prospects to come in. You have your templates ready to go. Makes it that much quicker just to send these out. So it's well worth the investment in the beginning to get it set up, but really, it's really going to help you. It's going to help out cash flow for our practice, and you owe it to your own staff members to do this, because one of the problems that we were having is that we were always chasing clients for money, but we had staff that we had to pay. So, there was a cash flow timing problem. So really, by getting people on a regular recurring payment up front, it's going to be a better experience for the client. It's going to be a better experience for you as a firm owner, but also you owe it to your staff to provide a good experience for them and not having the, stress out about cash flow issues in your practice.
Awesome. And Ricardo, it looks like you have a lot of people thanking you. I don't know if you can see in the Q&A in the chat, but there's a lot of people thanking you as well. So thanks to everybody. We're happy that you guys found this helpful. Again, this is available in your portals now. So you can log into your workspace and you can create proposals, test them out. We'd love your feedback. And then, as mentioned, we're going to be filling up the templates with some stock information that you guys can use, both for engagement letters and for proposals, so that you don't have to start from scratch. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.